Hey, hello, my name is JoJo and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome. Alright, so navigating the world of higher education is not easy in any sense of the word, especially if you're someone who doesn't necessarily come from a background where you have easy access to resources or even have access to knowledge about resources on how to succeed. I know all about that struggle. I sympathize and empathize 100%. Like I said in a previous video, I don't remember which one, but like I said in a previous video, I have had to do a lot of figuring things out when it comes to higher education by myself. And I feel like had I had someone to guide me or give me, whole information instead of little bits of information that I would get from various people here and there, I feel like it would have helped me so much. So I guess today I'm just gonna go through some of the things that I wish I had known, both in terms of higher education as a whole, but also graduate school and going into a doctoral program. I want to preface this by saying that even though a lot of what I'm gonna say could be applied to pretty much anyone, know and understand that I'm coming at this from the perspective of a first-generation Caribbean American Black woman who is also the first in her family to pursue higher education. And so everything that I'm gonna say in this video is really coming from my own personal experience in navigating higher education through that lens. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna talk about is something that kind of at first seems like a given, and that is do your research. Again, sounds really obvious, sounds like a given, but really there are two sides to this. Of course you want to do research about schools and programs and applications and requirements and all of that, but outside of that and outside of research you might be doing for a class or for a project, or research you might be doing for a lab that you might be in, you want to do your own research about topics that interest you and topics that mean something to you, because you want to start to figure out who you are, what you like, what interests you, because the further along you get in your educational career, the more important that's going to become. If you're someone like me who didn't really take into account my own interests, I just kind of was doing what I was told would be good for me to do, or what was expected of me. And so in doing research outside of what's required of you, you'll begin to learn what it is you're truly passionate about, and that's what's really important later on down the line. The next thing, again, is something that seems really obvious, and I'm sure it's something that almost everybody hears at some point, and that is to connect with your professors. But you want to be strategic with this. You don't want to just start trying to build connections with every single professor you're ever going to meet, because honestly that's just, I don't think it's necessary. When you're a freshman in college at orientation, or at least at my orientation, they told us build connections with your professors, but let's be real, as a freshman and even maybe a sophomore in college, the majority of your classes are humongous lecture classes of 100+ students, and every single one of those students is vying for that professor's attention. But unless that professor can genuinely contribute something to help you achieve your future goals, I just don't think you need to talk to them. And then even later on, in my master's program, I didn't build a connection with every single professor that I had because I didn't think it was necessary. So what I found most helpful was waiting to try to build genuine connections and network with professors who could actually contribute something to my future in some way. And this sounds a little opportunistic, and honestly it is, just a little bit, but they tell you to do it. And when it comes to figuring out how to connect with professors, both in undergrad and if you're in a master's program, It can be really overwhelming being one of those 5, 10, or 15 students waiting to talk to a professor after class. And even professors who have office hours, like you can have the same experience in office hours. I remember going to office hours for certain professors, and they would again have a group of students waiting to speak to them because that was their office hours and their designated talk time. And so what I would do is I would email professors that I was interested in actually getting to know and having a conversation with, and asking them if they were okay with having a meeting outside of class and outside of their office hours, just so we could have like a one-on-one chat about whatever it is I felt I wanted to talk to them about. And if they ever like asked me like why it couldn't be a conversation that happened after class or in office hours, I would be honest and say like I feel like the conversation would benefit more from having longer than 5 minutes to speak to each other. And then like more often than not, like they would be willing to meet with me. And again, this is why you want to be strategic with who you're choosing, because you don't want to schedule like 4 different meetings with 4 different professors when in reality only like 1 or 2 of those professors shares a mutual interest in getting to know you and you getting to know them, and them wanting to help you in some way with getting to where you want to be. And so that point kind of like segues into my next point, which is find a mentor or mentors early on. But more importantly, find a mentor or multiple mentors who genuinely understand you and understand where you're coming from and understand where you're trying to go. Not only are mentors intended to be guides in helping you get from, point A to point B, but they're intended to be a part of your support system. And so you want to make sure that you have a mentor who genuinely wants to see you succeed. Don't choose a mentor or like find a lab and start working with an advisor who couldn't give a damn who you are as a person. Like, I'm just gonna be very blunt, especially if you're someone who comes from a marginalized background. Like you want to choose a mentor who will get that, or someone who is open to hearing you out about your experiences and won't shut you down every time you try to share a lived experience or try to incorporate that lived experience into your work in some way, shape, or form, just because they want it done their way, or because it's not what's typical or what's widely accepted. I'm smiling right now because I'm speaking from experience. And you also don't want to just choose a mentor because of the connections they have. Don't just choose a mentor or an advisor because of like the resources they have or the connections they have or the money they have access to. Don't do that. Because you may not thrive in the way that you may want to or hope to. And you might even feel stifled or silenced even. You want to find a mentor who's gonna let you be who you are, who's gonna try to understand who you are, who's gonna let you take who you are and incorporate it into your work and your research, and someone who's willing to be that support system for you every step of the way. So I spent so much time talking about connecting with professors and mentors and advisors who genuinely want to see you succeed and who are genuinely willing to understand you and help you achieve those things, because you will learn along the way, especially if you're in a master's program or a PhD program, that you will be frustrated with a lot of things. People are going to be against you. They may be against the work you're doing. They may be against your views. And if the people who are against you also happen to be people in positions of power, they will not be afraid to tell you that they disagree with you, because they will feel like their power will be intimidating enough to get you to do what they want you to do. And so you'll want to have that support system, not only so you have a safe space to air your grievances and air your frustrations out to people who will actually hear you, but also because you'll want to have people who will vouch for you. You want to have people who will help you fight those battles, because that's what they're there for. And so I guess the last thing I want to mention is just know that literally no one knows what they're doing. Okay, no, let me not say that. Let me not say that because there are people who know what they're doing. I'm gonna rephrase that and say that everybody's still figuring things out. Psychology is one of those fields that is quite literally constantly changing. So know that if at any point you feel confused or lost or like you don't know something, chances are 95% of the room also feels that way. And it is okay to vocalize that you are confused or that you don't know something. Because when things are constantly changing and information is constantly changing, it's hard to keep up. I've had professors within the past 2 years very openly and honestly say, I don't know what the hell is going on. And it's so reassuring. It's so reassuring. Because you look at these people and you often think, like, they know everything, I know nothing, and so I can't mess anything up. And that's just not true. Everybody is constantly learning in this field. I feel like this video became something different. Like, not what I intended it to be originally. That's my own fault. I didn't really write a script for this video. I kind of just sat down and started talking. Those are just some of the things that I think I wish I had explained to me more clearly. Like I said, a couple of those things are things that you may have heard already or that seem really obvious, but may not be explained in a way that really highlights why they're important and how exactly you should go about doing them. I guess the last two things I talked about weren't really like things you should know, and more so explanations of why the other things were really important. But yeah, now I'm just rambling. So that's it for this video. That's it for this video. I just had my first week of class, so maybe that's why I'm a little bit more scattered. But like I always say, hopefully this was helpful in some way. So yeah, leave me a comment down below if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. Like always, like, comment, subscribe, click that little notification bell so you don't miss my next upload, and I will see you in my next one.